everyone, today I'll be reviewing this brand new, this psychological thriller. This movie just dropped on Netflix called Neon's Lights, and in this movie we see this huge tech tycoon. He's like a CEO of this huge company, but we see in one of his interviews he really lash out as the interviewer, and later on we see his therapist tells him to go and sort out all his deals with his family members. So later on we see he goes out with his family member to this his countryside house, like they invite them all to come, and I guess he tried to resolve all the problem they have with all this his family member, and when they arrive there, we see that all these family members, they have all this tension with each other. Some of them are really mean, because some of them are like concerned about him, like what is wrong with you. Some of them are really like have this like relationship with him back and forth. So first half of this movie, it is like that, he need to resolve all this relationship with his brother and sister who arrived in his countryside house, and we see he's really very unstable mentally, and he has this back and forth with this character he's talking to, and later on halfway through this movie does become kind of like a Shining. You know how in Shining was Jack Nicholson, he like tried to kill his family with the axe. Like half of through this movie he also tried to pick up the axe and try to finish all of them. Of course, the halfway through also this movie introduced to us this idea like he's really not good mentally, but he is also like in this mental institution. So this movie, it is, I will say, movie starts out with really very interesting premise about this guy losing his mind, and he need to sort out all his trauma he has inside his head. However, this movie quickly, especially for me, I thought that halfway through it really fell from the cliff very quickly, especially all this twist and turn this movie tried to introduce to its audience. I feel like end of the day, this movie really loses its audience. Especially, it become really very uninteresting, especially all this puzzle after puzzle. And the way this movie ends, you're like, whoa, that was wasting of time, because like turns out it was just he was doing all this in his therapy, and that's tried to throw a load of twist and turn at audience, and it will not work. It isn't very it is very interestingly made. The first act, like the middle act and the last act, quickly really falls off, I would say. Like I didn't really like the last twist at all. I was really hoping like all this family member, he really, like a spoiler warning if you've not seen it, I was hoping like he really killed them, but turns out he didn't. But that guy, he was keep talking. What was this actor name? We know him from other movie. He's the one who killed his whole family, and looks like it turns out he had this trauma he need to overcome. End of this movie, that's what it was about. That is what not that the twist I didn't like, it's like halfway through all the acting in this movie not that good. None of this acting is really very memorable, and all this back and forth between all this character going back and forth. After a thing, you become really like, after a point you really don't care about any of them. You're like, who cares? They just randomly added all this character, like none of them, like so two brother, I felt like they disappeared. What happened to them? I don't even know. Overall, I will say this movie had interesting premise. All this twist and turn, all this crafting with this didn't work. All that was going for interesting direction, and then again it was going for end of the day Shining type story. Like he need to resolve all this family member. He end up killing all of them. That is the story it was going for. I guess that writer wanted to add something else with all this twist and turn. End of it, you will feel like you didn't have good time watching it. That is what we'll say about this movie, and that was my thought on this movie. Let me know in the comment what do you think about this movie. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget my other reviews on other movies on Netflix. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, please take care.